Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeon Runners podcast. This is the first podcast episode we've had since the Dungeon Runners and Dragons, where we got to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I believe is the first time we actually gave any amount of validity to the Dungeon Runners name.
Look, we never said we were going to be a Dungeons and Runner podcast.
Anybody who doesn't know, the Dungeon Runners is actually a name that we have since we used to play a very popular game known as the Secret World. We've been called the Dungeon Runners.
Oh man, you guys want to talk about the Secret World again?
And ever since then, we'd been known as the Dungeon Runners. That's our own little personal fun name that we had been using, and then it eventually evolved into this. So now you all are in on the inside joke and know exactly why we call ourselves the Dungeon Runners, even though it's not really I'm not too sure what we. This is appropriately yes.
It was a Skype chat because we were a set of group of people that were actually running the dungeons rather than just hanging out in the open world.
Yeah. Were we running? Yeah, we were running dungeons.
Yes,
yeah. We were running the Nightmare Dungeons in the Secret World.
We ran hell so many times.
Yeah,
I never played. I was never around for that game. So
what? I thought you played along with us, didn't you?
I've never played the Secret World.
No, he joined us afterwards.
I joined you guys for D&D.
That was the first time. Oh, you did join us for D&D. That's right.
So it all ties to D&D.
Creeps that joined us.
Yeah. I almost could have sworn that you were around for the Dungeon Runners podcast too, but the Dungeon Runners. I could have sworn you were around for the Dungeon Runners podcast. It's almost like you were here every goddamn week. No, I could have almost sworn that you were around for the actual Secret World when we were playing that one, but I guess yeah, it was Dungeons and Dragons.
It all comes back to Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons is a very important part of our lives.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungan and Drungan. I'd say that Dungeons and Dragons is a relatively important part of our lives. It has become.
I mean, we've came pretty close together because of these Dungeons and Dragons games. I mean, 100%, we wouldn't have known Matt if we didn't play Dungeons and Dragons.
I probably would have met Matt at one point or another.
Yeah, I think.
No, you wouldn't have.
Were we friends before?
No.
Dungeons and Dragons, or was that literally our first?
Yeah, that was the first time I ever talked to you. That was also the thing, like we had no communication, and yet we were hanging out when you came to America before. It's like, yeah, cool. I've had all of about 6 interactions with you till that point, but we were like, yeah, let's hang out, and then relatively close, I guess.
People I was hanging out with, they were like, okay, cool, you can hang out with Spike. I was like, okay, cool, I'll spend the day with him. And I think we just got on so well that day that we just kind of kept in touch. We've just been friends since.
In reality, Matt has a horrible secret over Spike, and Spike's been blinking at us repeatedly Morse code for help. But we just
no one ever listens to suffer. Me. God. Why do you hurt me in this way, Barnabas? Why at every turn do you consistently hurt me?
Because it's cool.
Let's talk about the last. I guess how many episodes was our session?
2 episodes, likely.
Let's talk about the last 2 episodes. How do you guys feel? Do a little debrief of the last ones, because I want to see if you guys enjoyed the Gauntlet or not. You guys took a very different direction than most. I'd say that most people took in the Gauntlet. Most of the time, this is usually something I'd run for people who don't play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and obviously you guys do. So you took on the puzzles and especially when the Beholder showed up, you guys took him on very differently than anybody else I've ever seen play through the Gauntlet.
Well, first off, I always like to say, at least for me, I enjoyed the Gauntlet. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's actually not the first time I've done it before. I've done it at Spike's house when I was over there. So the thing about it is, I believe it's random encounters, the stages that we hit.
Yes, there's a few things that are consistent, but for the most part, the traps you run into and the monsters you encounter, stuff like that, are all randomly generated using the Donjon's website for building those things.
Oh,
so it's never really the same, and it's never really. The ending of it is definitely different. Everybody always has something different they want to do for the wish.
Yeah,
but the getting to that point is always different. I don't even know what it's going to be until it comes up.
Yeah, so it did feel different even playing it the second time. I'd say the only time, there's 1 or 2 times when I'm this was the same as the last time I did it. So I just kind of kept my mouth shut during those bits and I let you guys figure those puzzles out. You know, like we'll get to it later, but like, you know, the face puzzles, you know, things that I knew there was one way of doing it. I was like, I'm gonna let you guys figure it out first. But no, it's really fun. I do like that dungeon because it's that gauntlet thing, because it's such a nice little short campaign where you get to have a little combat, a little puzzle solving, bit of, you know, role play with the world, and kind of just get like almost like the whole vibe, or at least like a brush up of every little aspect of D&D, essentially.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
I liked it because I actually got to play a character.
For those who don't know, Barnabas usually is the DM for these games.
Because everybody else is too lazy.
Nuh-uh.
Not too lazy. It's just that
I'm
some of us don't know
sleepy.
how to.
And some of us, you know, start campaigns and then they die.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Which is also my problem too. But yeah, overall, it was actually really fun. It did remind me a lot of the precursor adventures that 3.5 came out with, that 5.0 came out with 4th edition came out. They always come out with this tiny little dungeon for people to run. That's just a very quick wham bam thing that's even playable sometimes by yourself. And it really reminded me of that, because it was just, you know, very simplistic, no big to do, but still a small story where you can still have your characters interact in some way to it, and then get to shine in some fashion, whether it be just straight up combat with a whatever it's called, or beef jerkying the gelatinous cube.
Beef jerky.
Oh gosh, just
God,
like yeeting the king, the dead king, into the gelatinous cube. I was like, oh, because that was that never happened in the first time I played.
No.
I gotta say, nothing like that happened.
Absolutely not. That was you're the first one who ever desecrated that body, I believe. Everyone else normally like has a thing where they're going to examine him or do something. You were just kind of like neat, and then walked. And then
We guessed the door, didn't we? With that, it was Barney's character that was like, "I'll just flip a coin to choose what door." Fling! Oh, it's number one.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I was indecisive, and I was like, someone choose a door for me.
Yeah,
Said
you
it was
got the right
heads.
door. It's just the king, like the ghost of the king, was the one who's actually supposed to tell you that, but you just guessed it. So I mean,
but like the other thing is, when you see a corpse, you think, don't fucking touch that thing because it's probably trapped, or there's a ghost that's gonna eat you.
who thinks that?
I do.
What do you think
guys-
whenever you
okay,
see it? When you just see a corpse out there in the wild?
Yeah.
I thought you were
So,
supposed to
let's
poke it with a
back it up.
stick and
Yeah.
write a Stephen King book about it.
Let's back it up a couple steps, because we actually started jumping into the dungeon itself without getting into the
Oh
characters.
jeez. Oh yes, actually, yeah. What? God damn it, Matt. For one, your character. For two, Barnabas. God damn it, Barnabas.
All right, let's start with let's get it out of the way, Matt.
So I wanted to, that's the thing though. I wanted to try create the most weeaboo, like samurai wannabe, but Jen had already chosen the fighter, and I was like, well, that's the only closest thing to a samurai I can think of. So I picked rogue, but I originally spec'd into strength, which is not what you want with a rogue, and it would have just completely ruined my character. But instead, I ended up doing dex. I named my character Jin, and at the very last second, I put Guy as the last name, just as Jen was about to take the name Guy. And he's like, oh man, you took my name. And then they started saying, oh, Jin's going to get confusing because Jen, we might get confused for like both the audience of us. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll just swap them around. They didn't notice. And then when I started to introduce myself, like if you guys listen to the actual recording, I'm like, yeah, the name's Guy. Guy Jin. As everyone realized what I was going for.
The groans was just cacophonous.
Disgust me.
Literally, when you had it as Jin Guy, I didn't put it together at all. I was like, okay, that's cool. I wanted the name Guy.
For those who don't know, Gaijin's basically a Japanese. It's almost like a derogative word for foreigners in Japanese. So like, if I want to go up to someone and say, oh, you're from somewhere else, it's usually Gaikakujin or whatever. But then you go Gaijin, that's more like, oh, you foreigner. What are you doing here? I believe I read it. I read it before doing this because I wanted to be sure.
I learned it from X-Men.
Wait,
X-Men?
what?
Oh, yeah?
X-Men.
Yeah, from the Silver Samurai in the X-Men cartoon back in the 90s. That's how I learned of Gaijin. Because Silver Samurai kept on
does it
calling
called?
Wolverine Gaijin.
Are you serious?
I'm 100%.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
100% telling the truth. Go watch that shit.
I used to
It's
watch all
actually
of
from the
X-Men
same
fucking-
episode that people crop that meme of Wolverine, rubbing his finger across the picture.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes.
really?
That one I'm not 100% certain on, but I'm pretty sure.
That's kind of
You know-
incredible, actually.
The only episode of the X-Men cartoon I actually know is the fucking Cable, like the future time shit, where it's like one of the people from the future is just like comes out of nowhere and just says "for the future," and then they shoots one of the fucking X-Men.
What?
Oh, that was that's
Yeah.
Days of Future Past. That was with where Bishop shows up.
Bishop, yeah.
Oh, future, and then shoots it.
Yeah, because it says he says for the future, and then it goes to commercial break, and then it comes back to him saying for the future again, and then shoots the X-Men.
And he's shooting at
Jesus.
Gambit.
Dude, we should do an X-Men
my God.
campaign. We're all mutants.
No,
Only if
We'll
I get
use
to
the
play
cipher
Wolverine.
system.
I'll be a weeaboo samurai.
That,
Doing
All right, never mind.
wicked
Okay,
samurai poses. Hacha.
So, Jen, how about you tell us about your character?
yeah.
because clearly we've heard enough about Matt's. But I okay. Let me just preface this with I don't usually play this kind of character. I usually go for the more wacky or more eccentric type. But for this campaign in general, because I didn't have enough time to set up, I just chose to make a basic ass as you can get fucking adventurer man. That's why I said it. He's just brown hair, brown leather tunic from a village that of no consequence with people of unmentioned names and blah blah blah. And so I just played adventure dude.
Standard adventurer.
I thought it sounded like that idea that you had before for the superhero Average Joe, who
Yeah,
drinks like
Average
his
Joe.
morning Joe and it like morning cup of coffee and it gives him powers or something. I
Yeah,
thought you
it's
were playing on
you're
that.
Yeah, he was just a normal man.
It's like everyone's got champions from across the land, and you're like, "Hey, I'm just a normal dude."
If I was a character in an anime, I would be the background character.
Yeah.
Like no one would unnoticeable, not unnamed. No one cares about.
Oh,
And you got blue-haired Gaijin in the front.
you never discussed what the characters actually look like. You have no idea if he had blue hair or not.
Yeah, you know what? Matt never said what his character looked like. All we know is that he was incredibly sweaty.
He
Yeah,
was
actually,
greasy. He looked like he came out of out of his mother's basement. I believe he mentioned that he had long black hair.
Did he?
I think I had long hair because, your boy's scared of barbers because, they ain't Japanese or whatever. They don't cut my hair with that Nippon steel. I was 5'8", 120 pounds. I was a very scrawny little greasy, pimply sort of. I just, with a fine appreciation of Japanese culture.
He's a great
I
character.
can hear the disappointment in you guys. I love this character. He's
The
so
more
stupid.
you talk about him, the worse I feel about him surviving the gauntlet, should I say.
The more you talk about
like
him,
how-
the more I miss Terradus.
Oh, I was Terradus too.
My first ever D&D character, Taradis, who everyone had like an artist to create the art. I had Creeps, and he didn't draw a face. He kind of tried to shade it, but with skin color. And when you had like the little token, it just looked like a thumb. So I just had no face.
Nondescript
Yeah,
features.
it looked like an egg with a blue wrap on top of it.
Dude, I had no idea what I was doing in that campaign because that was my first D&D thing. I wanted a wizard, but I also wanted to make it like materia. So I had a sword and I wanted to pretend to put materia in it like Final Fantasy VII. And I ended up speccing so high in Dex as a wizard. And I didn't pick spells for the usefulness. Every time I leveled up and got a new spell, I was like, oh, cool, fire. Oh, wicked, this one's ice. So I had no theme in terms of spell synergy or whatever. It was a terrible character, but I loved it. So
He had
charming
no
about
like the
Tyrus.
thing is that like the way you played him though, like when you were playing Tyrus, it may not have had like a specific theme, but not having a theme became your theme. Like it was just like, oh yeah, like I just got these different things because I thought they looked cool. But I mean, like towards the end of the campaign, you were very much kind of playing all of these random things together so that they worked.
You dropped
Yeah,
Stampy with a spell that I have never seen anybody use.
the
The
portal,
portal
things.
thing.
Yeah, everybody listening,
Yeah.
we defeated the last boss. I say we, I really mean that Matt defeated the last boss by dropping an elephant on him.
I had like this little wooden elephant figure, and if I said, "Is it Stampy?" Was that his name? What was his
Yes,
name?
we named him Stampy.
Was it like the
Sure it was
Simpsons?
Stampy?
I'm sure
No, it wasn't
was
Stampy.
something else.
Tantrum.
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 Oh, it was. That's right. It was
Tantrum. If
Tantrum.
I say tantrum, it turned into an elephant. No, I had these gates that I could open. Essentially, I use them like portals from the game Portal, and I'd just open them and then open them 30 feet away, I think, or 10 feet away, and I just chucked it through and just tantrum onto the main dude. But I used them in so many other ways too, because I had spells that could knock back 1 or 2 spaces.
Oh my god.
So,
yeah, that was such a brilliant fucking move when you did that.
Yeah, it wasn't my main attack. I think it was like a side action, like a bonus action or whatever. We played 4th edition for that one. So I'd put it next to the enemy, put it on the big cliff, like in the middle of the cliff, and just go, do my knockback attack and just one-shot some of these enemies.
Yeah.
And for the record, that wasn't the last boss. That was the like third to last boss.
Yeah.
It was
the last
what's his name?
boss was your hand. Remember?
No, I don't. My
The
hand.
last boss was your best friend Teruvial, your hand, and somebody
that's right. It
else.
was
I can't
my
remember
hand.
who the other villain was. That was also there.
Was it Valentine Wolf? No, he was not
No,
in
he
there.
wasn't.
No, he was already dead.
To give you guys an idea, so I in the last, this is getting way off topic at this point. We're talking about the last campaign, but the
Yeah.
last campaign was I played essentially Ash Williams from Evil Dead, and I attempted to sell out all of my friends to be able to return to the future where I was from, or I think I officially I was from there, but it didn't quite work out the way I had planned. Tried to sell them out and ended up my hand got infected. They cut it off. And it eventually became sentient and evil in its own right.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys that know D&D, it became a worm that walks. And if you don't know D&D, look that up.
It was like Tomo of the Many Faces or something like that, right?
The helm of many.
No. Your like the official name of your evil hand self.
Oh God, I don't remember.
It was it was something along those lines, but I can't quite remember. But let's go ahead and
Jump back into
put that on hold. We'll come back to that maybe some other time if people are interested. But hey, Barnabas, what the fuck did you say?
What were you?
What was that character?
I feel very attacked right now. Jesus.
You're a worse guy.
We didn't talk to each other before playing the characters, so our introductions in that session was literally our characters for like in real life, our first introductions to each other's characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what Barney was going to play.
So
because all we knew for sure was what class we were playing.
Yes, like I knew you were a fighter. I knew that Matt was teetering towards rogue, and then I picked Bard, College of Whispers Bard.
Mm-hmm.
So my character is a character that I've made before for other like RP stuff, but he's always been like an NPC or there's some form of him somewhere as a NPC for people, and I'd always wanted to actually play him. And essentially, you can go to the dungeon to the actual podcast and listen to it, and I introduce the way that he looks, and it's essentially like a cross between if a fashion mogul and a mobster got together that birthed some creepy, well moisturized goblin with Elton John's aesthetic.
God, that creates such a weird image in my head.
I know, doesn't it? Like the rainbow furred coat and like a furred giant fur collar, and he's got Elton John glasses, and like I described that he sounds like Truman Capote, and God damn it, I cannot sound like Truman Capote for the life of me. If you don't know who Truman Capote is, go Google him. He's a famous author. Philip Seymour Hoffman did a movie of him.
Won an Oscar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you watch the Clone Wars movie, the one with the CGI one, the Zero the Hutt. It was like they came into George Lucas and say, "Hey, we got this cool Hutt. He's this crime lord. He's got this cool aesthetic. He's going to be the villain for this thing. I like it." And George Lucas said, "Make him sound like Truman Capote."
What?
It's like
actually?
imagine it's pretty much how it went down. Oh dear, I must be coming down with the vapors. Oh, Dill from American Dad. There you go.
Dill from American Dad. Dill.
Or any Southern dandy. That's really what I was trying to go for, but I kind of lost the character and just went more for just mincing Queen. And he's just I always have to be, because I'm always the DM, I always have to play these super serious characters, and because of the fact that it wasn't like a long running campaign, I wasn't going to have the chance to make a serious character with a very serious backstory like I did for Spike's old campaign, which was the warlock who was trying to become a wizard but couldn't be. He just didn't have the knack for it, and gave up his wizardry so he can, for some book, Necronomicon-like book, and made a pact with the Elder God and killed his brothers and his father to seal it. And he was going around trying to spread the word of Al Hadrat.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. To be fair though, it's nice because I always see you play like really serious characters, Barney. Like, I mean, you had a couple serious, like, silly characters here and there, but like for the most part, you never play any character that's, or at least I haven't seen you play a character that's like 100% comedic. This is like the first time. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen you like, okay, I'm gonna play a character that is just a full comedic character.
Same, actually.
It was nice. It was fun. I mean, my other option was Meat Wizard.
Excuse me?
Meat Wizard?
What?
That's what Creeps kept on calling his brawler from the other campaign.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I had a perfect
also,
chance to play Grandmaster Yap and his peanut butter spell.
Oh, I miss Grandmaster Yap too.
What?
Another character from a previous campaign?
Kobold, who shoot peanut butter.
God,
is a cantrip.
I remember that one. It's a God, Grandmaster Yap. I would have let you do it too. Like whatever kind of peanut butter spell you want, do it.
That's how we got the gelatinous cube out.
Yeah. I don't know. There's one of those things where I'm not too hard on the rules. I don't really like being super hard on the rules. If you enjoy like, oh yeah, I want to be able to try to do this, then like let's fucking rock and roll, dude. Let's go. I always figured like being super hard on the rules takes a lot of the fun out of the game. Like it's a very imagination driven game, and if you should be rewarded for having an imaginative character and an imaginative idea within that realm more than it would be that if you gotta stick to the book. Book says you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to do that. You'll never know how to do that until you follow the one thing that in this book that tells you how to do it.
Yeah, it's like the first the first sentence of the D&D rulebook is like play how you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
That I did,
and that's why I like the cipher.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell.
I like how there's like no wrong
a rogue.
answer except for my one.
Yeah.
No one likes my one.
No, I said you should do it, but you were too cowardly to go with it.
Go with what?
We'll go with the strength rogue.
Oh no, I'm not on about the strength rogue. I'm on about the weeaboo.
Oh, yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong.
That was wrong of you. I want you to know that right now. There's no wrong answers except for the answer that you came up with.
Look, if this wasn't a one shot, I would definitely not play with you.
I think I'll try and make a more likable person next time.
I was gonna say that's like almost the same character you played when you played last time when you were in my place, Matt. Like you were over here, except you were a monk.
I was an incel last time.
What were you this time?
I was a weeaboo.
Uh-huh.
I embraced, yeah. My body pillow is waiting for me at home. My 2D waifus.
Were you about to say they are mutually exclusive?
We bounce around, you know.
I was gonna say that they are two separate things, and to be fair, despite the shit that we give Matt about it, he actually did a really good job playing that character, which would be amazing if it wasn't just him.
Wait, that's what Creep said too. I told him about the character, and he was like, with the thing with D&D is you can create any character you want. You can be anything you want. So why would you be yourself? And I honestly feel personally attacked.
Weird that a lot of people came to the same conclusion.
I ain't no weeaboo. My favorite bit was like, I exhausted probably 90% of what little Japanese words I've picked up throughout my life. But my favorite thing was trying to pronounce them in the most gaijin way.
Don't
in the most
use the
like
word gaijin on like a
watashi wa-
serious.
because it's funny, dude.
God damn it.
It's like
Bender trying to pronounce Spanish.
Oh, have you ever heard that? Seen that one video of that guy who speaks fluent Spanish but in a hillbilly accent?
No, what?
Oh
No.
Someone sent it to me. It's so funny, but like it's essentially like in the same vein as when I'm like konnichiwa, watashi wa Matthew des or gaijin des. It's just butchering the crap out of the language. But I like the joke too that it's like, oh yeah, I'm learning it from Rosetta Stone. That's why it's so bad. Like that's a bit of lore.
It's a bit of lore.
Yeah,
There's lore.
Deep lore.
Dude, my character runs deep. You know what the good thing about my character there was in terms of like quotation marks lore is like there's so much memes about weebs that I could just pick apart any funny little meme about it and just make it my backstory. Yeah, I'm learning Japanese on Rosetta Stone.
God, it hurts me like to a certain degree. So like what you're saying is you've actually perfected out this whole region that he's from to the point where you know what every other person. When I was talking about like, oh yeah, there's people in the stands cheering you on and things like that. You're like, I knew every single person in those stands.
No, my guy doesn't leave the basement much. They could
You never talk to any one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I might talk to them on like Skype or Discord, and we watch anime on Rabbit, but I've never met them in real life.
Pretending to be someone else.
Yeah.
Conversation. This is the episode of the podcast that just kills me right now. I want you to know that I came into this podcast with like a headache, and I'm leaving this podcast with a headache. And
So, with all that said, for the very first fight, how come the weeaboo didn't have a, oh my god, it's an Oni, I know exactly how to deal with this?
Again, you guys didn't know
the word Oni. I forgot about that one.
How did you know it was an Oni?
That's demon, right?
How did you know it was an Oni, Barnabas?
You used the image for
You
Oni.
used an image for an Oni.
Look. How do you know exactly what an image for an Oni looks like? What kind of campaigns you been playing?
Because I own the monster manual.
And
I flip through it to try and figure out what kind of shit to throw at you people sometimes.
I think we actually fought an Oni in the last
I think
campaign
so,
we did,
actually.
too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was our evil campaign that went on for
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Team Red while you guys were Team Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what was fun, because like every time I've played this game, I've only played it once IRL, and it was the gauntlet at Spike's house. The only other times is online, and we always used Roll20, using all the squares, measuring things out on table. But this is the first time that I did Theatre of the Mind fully, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we always use like descriptive stuff, but we've always used like measurements for the attacks. But this time I just kind of stopped looking at the screen for a lot of it. I mean, like, while recording it, we had one square with 3 characters, and we just put an enemy in the middle to give us a visual cue, but we never relied on it. And that was really interesting in terms of like the role play of the game. I thought it really helped with kind of visualizing it more in my head.
Yeah.
It's also an experience for me. I never did Theater of the Mind ever. Like, I've only done the Roll20 and map tools back in the day.
I mean, like when we were playing, what was it? We were playing the Giants game that we played before.
Storm.
Yeah, Storm King's Thunder. Like, you guys did do quite a bit of that when we were doing that one because
Yep.
like a lot of the times there were things like the Giants are just attacking the front gates, and there's not really a way of displaying this because they're so big, you're so small. But you guys did a lot of Theater of the Mind for that one because you would still need to run up to the dragon, up to the giants and stuff, and like you would be climbing, like you as a skeleton were like climbing up beards and things like that, trying to reach where their heads are to actually deal the most amount of damage.
Oh man, I missed that skeleton.
Like the whole like the what was it, the Apple Festival or whatever it was, and then being down in the dark and trying to move people around and free the slaves. All that was Theater of the Mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I'm trying to do too, and move away from using just maps in general, which is kind of hard at the same time because when you have Roll20 and you're able to do all this cool stuff with lighting and cool stuff with visuals, you're like, oh, but I can have it on there and you guys can see it and have this cool, feeling. But, eventually you just hate yourself after a while because you have to sit there and set it all up and you're like, fuck this. I'm just going to spend a whole bunch of money and buy the maps. myself, and then
Yeah.
you just say, fuck it, I'm just throwing out a handout. And that's actually what happened this past Saturday for the D&D game that I run then, the Ravenloft game. That entire thing was all theater of the mind for that 3-4 hour game.
Really?
Yeah, there was no
Wow.
combat. It was all just RP, and a lot of investigation and insight rolls.
That's cool.
Tell you what I'm curious about, because say for me, it was easy to kind of visually go along with the campaign and go through it because like I'm actively playing it. I'm curious, like if you're listening to this and you listen to the previous one, the actual D&D campaign, if you are able to follow along in your head using our descriptions, you know, how we described what we're doing and our attacks and stuff. I'm curious, like if everyone else felt they could actually see it in their head. So that one's something I'll be curious about to check comments.
Yeah, this is a comment. Leave a
Yeah.
comment down below if you enjoyed that Dungeons and Dragons adventure, and if the descriptions were enough to give you that theater of the mind experience, like you were right there in the room rolling the dice, or in the room where murders were taking place, or where people were feeding dead kings like beef jerky to larger things.
Or if you were in the room standing feet away from a man, just constantly sweating.
Oh yeah, if you could just
getting
smell
constantly sexually approached by a very, very fashionable goblin.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that brings me to my next point. Is like I really liked our character interactions. It's like I felt like me and Gaijin got along pretty well, and I felt like our interactions with Barnabas's little man went pretty well too. They were humorous to say the least.
Yeah, I think.
Especially when he ejectified John Strong.
Okay, first the chest. Now for the box.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Tell you what, so I tried to sneak in because there's something I really love in terms of narrative design, and that's character development. I absolutely love like a maturing character or whatever. I didn't really, you don't get to do that in a 2.5 hour or 2 hour campaign or whatever, but I did manage to have that little moment when I got the master katana. It's very early on, and I just matured up as a character, and I tried to like play it differently from when I started to from there on. I'm not sure if that like came across, or if that was just weird, but
yeah,
it's like the most sudden character development, but I just love that in terms of character development, creating the character that you want to play. So I don't know. There's a little fun thing to sneak in.
Yeah, because you started off as like a hyper super dork ass dork, and then you became a more chill,
super dork ass,
a little toned down dork ass dork. Yeah,
it's almost like it's called to action.
You tried to play it cool.
Like it's called to action. You tried to play it cool. Mature moment where it's like, this is serious. I've got a master katana.
But did you think that I was going to end up giving you the katana like later in the game? Is that what you were thinking? Like, you're going to get it.
I thought.
But you're not going to get it till much later.
Yeah, I totally
I thought we were going to start with our shit ass weapons and then keep them.
That would have been bad because I broke my sword on the first dude.
That's right.
I rolled really high on my performance on my Naruto hand signs and touching the sword to pretend I imbued it. And then I hit it, and I think I rolled a 1 and just completely dented the crap out of the rapier, wasn't it? It just kind of bent.
It bent in the middle. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. What was it? Okay, here's something I'm curious about. Sorry. When we're going down the stairs and there's a long hallway and a drop, like a hole.
Yeah.
What's down the hallway?
What was on the left?
There was 2. Okay, so technically there was a fork in the road there. So there was a whole set of rooms you could have gone through that was completely different from the one that you went to if you had continued straight. But at no point would you have been able to go back from that fork. It just kind of determined which dungeon you were going to do. There was another dungeon, essentially. Like there was another set of rooms you could have gone through, but you just took you took the road that, you just took a different road. I want to say like you took a road that was easier or harder, but I don't think there's really a difference in those. You just took a different road.
Let me ask something. Well, did you like, are these like set like random paths, or are they like as we approach a room, you roll for it and then you choose it?
These are set random paths. So as soon as we got started, as soon as we get started, I basically did a generate full dungeon, and then it gives me all the information about the dungeon then.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So
I say it's like, man,
if you went from room to room, like, oh boy, that'd be a wild ass time.
Let me say, which one was longer?
I actually think you guys might have taken the longer path. Yeah.
Really?
Damn it! You mean I could have gone to bed earlier?
You could have gone to bed earlier.
Yeah.
I think
You don't just you don't put a hole in front of a man and expect them not to look
there's
at
a few.
Wow.
He needed to tame that hole.
it.
There was a few things that are always the same though. So the only thing I changed was at the end you guys were gonna fight a beholder. But normally you would be fighting a young red dragon. The gelatinous cube is always the same. And the overall plot about the king is always the same. I don't think you guys even really uncovered anything about the plot about the king. You guys just kind of like, you knew that something was fishy going on, but you didn't quite figure out what it was. But then again, at that point, like, I didn't think you guys really cared about what it was. It was like, yeah, shit, looks like shit's happening with the old guy, but we're gonna get that wish. Like, I'll just get to the end.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Out of my way, plot.
Out of my way, plot. I need to make a name for myself.
I'm looking at the characters, like I'm thinking back, and out of all three of us, I don't think none of us were the kind of investigation type.
Yeah.
No.
I
So-
mean, it's not really that big of a deal, honestly. Like, you guys still had the adventure that you wanted to have, and you still came out with an outcome. Like, I heard Barney's say, like, there's something fishy obviously going on, so this is for the best if we just make this our wish. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
you guys still took the good path, I suppose, at the end. But
I got time to figure out your convoluted ass story.
look,
What am I gonna investigate?
convoluted ass story. You found the dead body. You got clues. You literally didn't investigate either one. You fed one to another creature. Then you got another clue that nobody cared to investigate because there was treasure at the end of the room.
Wait, but there's something in the final room?
There was something in the gelatinous cube room.
Oh, the cube room.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
The painting?
You said there was a thing in it, and I was like,
There were
like
bodies
that.
that were
I'm gonna
covered in
ignore it.
armor. There was a ghost that was in there also. You guys didn't do anything with that.
But we put them
we watched
together. We made them whole again. The papa and the cradle and the silver spoon. They all got back together. It's all cool.
Little boy blue and the man in the moon. I know.
Spike.
so I
Yeah.
could have killed that gelatinous cube, right?
Yes,
If
you
I just
guys
kept
could
attacking.
have killed the gelatinous cube.
See, I knew I should have just killed it.
I was just about to ask, like, what was so we kind of launched the dead body of the king as bait so we could get past the cube. What's like kind of the official way, quotation marks, of getting past it? Is it fighting it?
The
Or
cube?
is there like,
There isn't really an
What?
official way. There's a lot of different ways you could deal with it. It's just dealing however you wanted to. Normally, like, if you guys had done anything dealing with like the torches around the room or things like that, it will pull away from like fire. So if you had like a lit torch or any kind of fire spell, it would start to pull back from wherever it is and make a hole. But because like you guys were obviously not like of level to really kind of fuck with something like that. Like you could, because it wouldn't do anything except for try to close in on the wall on you. And like basically just fully consume you like that, or it'll start trying to suck you in if you guys get close enough to touch it, but it wouldn't really like aggressively chase you,
Yeah.
or at least not this particular one, because in case you guys didn't realize this, like everything inside of the gauntlet is always illusion. Like it's all things that can still hurt you, but it's nothing like, they're not the actual creatures that you would see in Dungeons and Dragons. These are all
They were
illusionary
illusions?
things, yeah, that are created by the aether that comes out of the magic that came out of the original meteorite. So
Oh, that's why they would all disappear.
that's why they
when
would
you killed them.
disappear, right? And that's also why things would appear that don't necessarily even make sense, like the red dragon, the beholder, things like that are just
The Yoklo.
threatening. Say what?
The Yokolo. Or was it a roper?
The roper, yes,
Oh, the
Okay.
roper. Yeah, roper.
the roper.
I saw that and I thought we were going to die because ropers are really fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's even still like I think the only difference is that like the roper didn't take multiple attacks at you like he should have. I think he would have
Yeah.
been able to get 3 action attacks towards you guys.
Yeah, because he can grab us and bite us twice for fucking advantage and he can just fucking decimate
Yeah.
us.
Those are the only real things that it was. But like the gauntlet itself is just it makes these things to basically deter anyone from traveling further in. And like the whole thing with the king that was super fucky about it was that his brother, who was like the good one, and him had descended long ago into the crater to seek the same power that their father had. So he murdered his brother and just wished for command of the entire world. So he was made king. That's literally like how it had become. And the more that you guys had like talked to like his brother or talked to the body of the king or anything like that, since they or the ghost of the king, if there's anything like that, you would have found that really they're all trapped down there because of the because it was the magic of that place that had to force them there, basically to put him into power. But it doesn't really matter that much because you guys still ended up getting the exact same result, having known that anyway.
Look, none of us were smart.
Don't sell yourself short. You're plenty smart.
No, none of us were smart. None of us wanted to investigate. And you put me in the front, so I didn't. I was just cautious as fuck, and I was like, "You put your hands in that thing over there.
You put your hands in that.
You put your hands in the thing.
Put your hands in your mouth.
With the in the mouth, in our faces, my greasy stone face. It was so funny. No, actually, that was the only room that I remembered from the last time I played. So I knew to reach into my own mouth, but I didn't want to. I kind of took a step back in terms of like roleplay, and I let you guys figure that out first by, prompting me to do it and using anime to twist my arm stick my arm into a random mouth.
Oh my god, that fucking reaction from Barnabas though, like, I throw the gem, all right? It explodes into 1,000 pieces when it hits the ground.
The mean girls and the tiara.
The money's gone.
So let's talk about the beholder in the room.
The beholder.
How the fuck did that work?
What do you mean?
Challenging the beholder to a staring contest.
I don't understand.
What were you planning on having him do?
Oh, he was literally just going to start casting stuff on you. Like, while you were trying to stare at him, his other eyes were going to cast on you, but you just kept rolling so good and convincing him that I was like, all right, let's just fucking make this happen. Also, we're running out of time, so might as well. Let's see how this goes.
And I got to use that one ability that I thought I was not going to be able to use at all because it requires a minute. And I was like, how long has this been going? About a minute or two. Perfect. That's all I needed.
Oh, is that why you did? Yeah, what was that ability?
So College of Whispers has an ability that you can instill fear into somebody and make them frightened if you talk to them for at least a minute. And they have to, make that saving throw. But the whole thing is like, it's one of those, you're talking to them and you're kind of like backhandedly complimenting them or giving them insultaments and stuff like that, or just really praising them up and making them paranoid that something really bad is going to happen soon because you're praising them so much.
Yeah. It's like in real life.
It's like in real life, exactly. So
for
those of you that know gay lingo, what he was doing was that he was reading him. He was slowly chipping away at his self-esteem until all he knew was just a never-ending sense of dread.
How is it? This is gay lingo? What you said?
Yeah. You got the times,
Come on,
man.
get with the times. Go watch RuPaul's Drag Race or something. That'll teach you, you normies.
Normies, Jesus. What, you gaijin?
What?
Oh,
you gaijins?
You gaijins.
Yeah.
But no, that was just like reading shade, that kind of stuff. It didn't do nearly enough shade as I should have.
Let me just say, I love that fucking scene where you did that staring contest, because I love solving things without the actual confrontation.
It's interesting because like D&D has that almost stigma of just being a hack and slash sometimes, but sometimes it's funny to talk your way out of situations.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like funny. It's just, that feels more appropriate sometimes to talk your way out of a situation than it's like than to just hack and slash your way through. Because definitely like hack and slashing your way through some games is totally like a possible thing. It's a viable solution. It would work. Nothing's going to oppose you if there's nothing alive to oppose you, But like also it's just it feels better for the characters that you're playing to not always want to do that. Like just like if you're role playing a real person or a real scenario, your first answer is not always to like, well, I'll just cut their heads off. What's that? I'll just I have to ask a girl out on a date. All right, well. I'll just do so, and if it doesn't work, then I will just murder every guard in town. Like that's not usually the correct answer, but it is an answer.
We aren't murder hobos in real life.
Well, some people are, but
we can think.
Speak for yourself, Jens.
Oh, look at me! I own a bathroom.
Yeah. Catch us on the next Dungeon Runners podcast, which will be entirely in virtual reality.
Hey, let me ask a very important question.
Yeah.
So what's next for Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
I mean,
I mean, is this the last that we see of Gaijin? Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
I mean, like, I'm right
But-
here, so.
I mean, what would you guys want to do? Maybe, I don't know, another one shot sometime?
yeah, Barnabas has got to do this one.
Barnabas wants to DM?
Different DMs?
Man, that's great. Thanks for volunteering.
Barnabas has never DM'd.
I believe I was
in a few years.
voluntold at one point.
Are we doing the X-Men campaign?
Oh man,
Can I play the samurai that calls everyone Gaijin?
I gotta play Wolverine.
I'm going to play Wolverine.
Oh, dude, it's a good thing there's like 4 of them.
Yeah, like his daughter, and then like the future version of him,
Yeah.
and like that evil
Almost
one.
like he's a garbage ass character.
You guys
like he's not really
You
good.
guys should play the same character.
Is that
So you're like split
you literally
brain
just
him.
reiterated the same joke we were making.
No. I'm just saying not like 2 Wolverines. I'm talking about like there's one Wolverine, but he's got like he's got 2 personalities inhabiting him, and that's you two. But you got to try like figure out who gets to move him and who gets to attack with what.
Okay, so there was this one thing, and this might ruin like one of these campaigns. I've always wanted to do this, like have a one-off campaign where you get to play as the Power Rangers.
Oh,
that-
yeah, that's right.
yeah.
You even have that. You even have those characters.
Yeah, I have the character sheets for Power Rangers, and it actually has like rules for Zords, and how you
Yo.
form a Megazord. If you form the Megazord, however, you don't. I think you guys have like a specific time limit to make a deliberation about your move. If you don't make it within that time limit, then the Megazord will malfunction and not move for that round.
So it's about teamwork.
Yeah, you actually have to.
Doesn't that
teamwork.
happen in the show? Like when they start falling out, like they can't fuse together or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Hey, what level do you have to be to have a Zord?
I think you actually have to be level 10. It would be a
Shit,
very
dude,
high level
come on.
campaign.
Jesus.
That's a fucking a high level fucking one shot. I don't know.
Well, sometimes a high level one shot is always fun, but high level one
But you
shot.
have to learn
that-
like everything about that class.
Yeah, that's true, and really figure out how to work things. That's really good for what's it called. What I would like to do actually, and since you voluntold me into doing
Oh, yeah.
something, we can do a one shot adventure utilizing the cipher system.
I don't know what that is.
I would absolutely love to, because I would like to learn how to play that system, and the only way to actually learn it is to play it.
Yes, it is.
What is the cipher system, Barnabas?
So the cipher system is a system that if you listen to the previous Dungeon Writer podcast that I was on that did not involve me playing a effeminate fame-hungry goblin, is I spoke about. I don't remember what episode number that was, but I talked about it ad nauseum on it. And if you paid attention to
5, I
anything
believe.
that I ever said, Spike, you would know.
Not especially.
Okay. So the cipher system is a very simple system by Monty Cook, and it is essentially just roll a d20. You the players, roll d20s, and I set a DC for everything. Something attacks you, you're rolling the defense. Something you want to attack something, you're rolling the attack. You want to do a skill, you roll a skill, and all you're doing is just making the DC that I set easier, and that's it. Everything is all descriptive, so none of it, if you want to be Gaijin and wield a katana from the get-go, that's fine. You're wielding a katana. Depending on how big it is, it deals flat damage.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be, Wolverine and have claws in your hands, that's awesome. Knock yourself out. It still does the same amount of damage that his katana might do. You're not special. Everything that's special about you, it's just as special as everybody else.
Oh.
The other thing too is that the game is set up so that you're supposed to be connected. You can't just be a murder hobo. You actually do have to work together.
So it literally is built against murder hobodom?
It is literally built against murder hobodom.
So we're the Wildcats, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, pretty much. I can easily throw something together and make that happen. No less.
When are we gonna discuss when are we finally gonna like do our episode about High School Musical, dude? That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for our Dungeon Runner episode where we all get to discuss High School Musical finally.
Good night, everybody.
That was it. That's the one pushed Barney over the edge.
Oh yeah,
The High School
Gaijin,
Musical
perfectly
D&D
fine.
campaign.
High School Musical. All of a sudden, I'm the bad guy.
Tune in next time for us being in VR chat talking about High School Musical
Hell yeah.
while doing a D&D campaign.
I'll not even like don't even. I will I'll put together the goddamn high school gym. We'll be in God. What high school are they in? We'll be in the musical high school discussing High School Music. I'll do that. Don't fucking tempt me.
I won't.
Good.
I am very uncomfortable right now.
Anyways, guys, you know what? What's your final thoughts on the Gauntlet and D&D in general?
I really hate Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm glad that it's dead.
Yeah, it's okay.
I thought the Gauntlet was fun. It was an enjoyable romp to be able to play games with my friends again and not have to be the DM and set it up. I think that the entire concept of Dungeons and Dragons and other RPGs in general are a fun way for people to let go and have fun and just be somebody else for a little while and create stories along with their friends and have interactions and, have sex with a dragon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like Donkey.
What was that one thing that you found one campaign? Not campaign. You found one system before, and I hate to this was really final thoughts, but I just really want to bring this up. You found one system before. Remember this, Barnabas? It was literally it was like a hentai system.
Fatal.
Is it called Fatal?
Fatalis?
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't.
Describe it again.
It was basically like a hentai system. It was like a system all about pwn.
There was the 3.0 book that came out for Dungeons and Dragons that was called the Book of Erotic Fantasy, I believe, and it had the horror class in it and rules for all kinds of sex,
God.
and that's what led to Wizards really put in some rules in place for what you could publish with the D20 system.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was actually full on rules. Like you cannot publish a thing about boob.
I think there was more. I think there just came about with more. They were just a bit more stringent on what you could and couldn't do. I think I don't know what the full setup is, but pretty sure somebody in the comments can do the research.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah.
If you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons and you want to suggest other campaigns, or you've seen any good one-shot campaigns you'd like to see us play, please let us know. Jen, tell everybody about how you can reach the Dungeon Runners and the Dungeon Runners podcast.
You can email us at dungeonrunners with an S podcast@gmail.com. That's dungeonrunnerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud? Hell yeah, SoundCloud! Down the clouds, I'm the ground.
SoundCloud, and Spotify, and iTunes, and Google Play. Thanks for watching the Dungeon Runners podcast, and let us know if you want to hear more about our previous campaigns, because we've had a bunch of them.
So many stories.
All right, bye. Bye, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.